to my YouTube channel. So this morning I'm going back to a location that I was in March this year. It's a waterfall called Spout Rolla. I couldn't get to the base of the waterfalls because of the snow and ice. So we're near to the end of autumn. It's a cloudy morning, it's dry, hey, and follow me this morning and let's see where the journey takes us. But wait, I've since discovered there's a legend associated with Spout Rolla Waterfall, and that legend goes back to our earlier visit in July to the Deil's Cauldron, because the Deil's Cauldron is famed for its brownie or water elf called Kidd. And when Kidd succeeded in enticing a victim, he'd call out in a voice of thunder to his kindred spirit at Spout Rolla, 3 miles further up the glen. Then the spirit of Rolla used to send him a huge flood from the waterfalls all the way down to the Deil's Cauldron, in the hope that Kidd's prey could not escape from the seething waters in that rock-hemmed pool. So now we know there's a legend associated with Spout Rolla Waterfall. Let's continue our journey. Let's see how mystical this waterfall is. So we've now got the probably 1.5 mile hike to the base of these waterfalls. So the last time I tried to get the base of the falls, I couldn't find them because I followed the wrong river. So, well, I actually followed a burn, but it was because it was so big I thought it was the River Leadnock. So hopefully this morning I'll be a wee bit luckier. I'll take a different path in hindsight, because hindsight's always a good thing. And let's keep walking. I'll see what I spot. I'm not intending to take any photos until I get to the base of the falls. So I've got my tripod strapped to the rucksack, and it's a fair wee weight. So let's see. Hopefully we can get to the falls soon. Okay, so I'm about a quarter of the way along the path, but I'm just moving my finger back, so where my finger is, that's the Spout Rolla Falls. Still a wee bit away. The noise you can hear behind me is there's a wee set of waterfalls just there, but I'm not going to take photos. I'm going to get there. So I've climbed to this big rock here in front of the falls. So what I intend to do is, I'll take a shot at this big rock. There's a tree in front of me, and what I'll do is I'll work my way towards the falls, and then once I get to the base of the falls I'll take images there. So for this composition, what I'm using is this big rock here on the right hand side as foreground interest. I've got the falls straight in front of me. I've got a second shutter speed. I've set it at f16 and I'm at ISO 100. I'm not quite sure how the sky's going to work out because I've taken some underexposed shots. There's not a huge amount of detail in the sky, so who knows. Well, right now it doesn't look very exciting, but to be fair, the focus is the waterfalls. So what I'll do now is I'll just walk over. There's a little tree over there that I quite like, and that might make quite a nice image. So I've got I moved a wee bit forward and I've got this tree in focus, and what I've also managed to do, I've managed to get the bottom waterfall through the V shape of the tree. So what I'm doing is I've got a 1/4 of a second f11 ISO 100. I'll take my shot. So what I'll do now is I'm going to zoom in to the tree, and then what I want here is the tree in focus, the falls out of focus, and now in my viewer I've got the branches of the tree coming up from the bottom right hand side of my image, and they're leaning up, and I've got the falls right through the little V that's there. It's actually really nice. So now there's a couple of other trees further up, but I think what I'll do is I'm going to make my way down to the base of the falls, and then let's see what we can get at the base of the falls. Alright, so I finally made it to the bottom of the falls. I'll film behind me so you can see what I've had to climb up to get here, because when you get to the side of the river, there's still a fair bit to get up in front. Having said that though, now I'm here, this is absolutely glorious, unbelievable. So I'm going to take a couple of portrait shots first of the falls, and then I'll do a landscape shot, and then there's a small waterfall coming over to the right hand side, and that small waterfall's got some foam. So what I might do is put an ND filter on and see if we can slow the shutter speed down and see if we can create some swirls in the foam. But first off, let's get this composition done. So I've got that, there's a branch in front of me leading right across from left to right along the base of my image. Because this is a waterfall, I can't focus in on the water, so I'm focusing in on the rocks at the side of the water. I'm just going to adjust the polarizer because I want enough sheen where I've got a line coming through the base of the waterfall here. So I'll take my shot. I've got a 1/4 of a second f11 ISO 100, and I'm just going to check the water texture, and that's oh wow, that's the water texture I love. So I'm going to zoom in because there's a wee rock in front of me. I'm going to take the tree out of the composition. There's a kind of tiny small waterfall on the left hand side, just trickling down, a bit of water trickling down on the left hand side. What I'm going to do here is just refocus again. I don't need to adjust my polarizer because that's already set. That's me focused in. I'll take my shot. Oh wow. Right, so now I'm going to do a landscape shot. So I'll flip the camera over. I'm just going to zoom in a bit. I've got that tree at the bottom of my frame, but I can actually take that out in Photoshop because it's quite distracting. But what I do want is the rock. So there's a rock here straight in front of me. I'm just going to adjust the polarizer because I've moved from, I'm just tweaking it enough that I've got just enough of a light beam coming through on the base of the falls. I'll just focus in on the rocks again just to be double sure. I'll take my shot, and yeah, that's a really nice shot. That's lovely. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to zoom straight into the water because there's quite a dark edge to the water, and I think with a nice close-up it could be quite moody. So I'll take that shot and see how that turns out. Oh wow. Oh, this is stunning. Absolutely stunning. Right, so what I'll do now is I'm going to set up my ND filter and set my long exposure, and I'll see if we can get that small waterfall and we can pick up that movement in the foam. Okay, so what I've done here is, in order to get the swirls of the foam in the water, I've set up my composition where I've focused in on the rocks at the far end where the waterfall's coming from. I've put on my polariser and I've adjusted my polariser for the sheen. Now what I've done is I've put in an ND6 filter, and that helps me slow down my shutter speed enough that I get a swirl pull effect from the foam. So in order to slow the shutter speed down enough, I've set it to 8 seconds. I've got my f-stop up at f20, but I'm still shooting at ISO 100. It's just, without the ND filter, I wouldn't be able to keep the camera open long enough because it's two lights, and they're really, really nice. So I'm just going to zoom in a wee bit more. I'm just going to refocus because I've changed my focal range. I'll take another shot. Oh wow. Yep, that's absolutely stunning. So I'm going to zoom in now as far as I can, and I'm just going to get the top of the falls. I'm just being nosy. I just want to see how this effect's going to turn out. So I've zoomed right in as close as I can to the falls. So it means I've got a triangular shape of the foam at the bottom right hand side. I'm going to focus in on the rock next to the falls. I'll take that shot because I've no idea how it's going to end up looking. And that's actually quite nice. I'm actually going to change my lens, and I'm going to put my wide angle lens on. And what I'll do is I'll stand behind where this camera currently is. There's a little island in the river here. And what I'll try and do is see if I can capture the whole scene in one shot rather than having to do a panoramic. So I've put the wide angle lens on and I'm getting the whole scene in view. So I've also switched the polariser over and the ND6 filter onto the end of the wide angle lens because I'm getting quite excited about. I'm getting all these swirls and I'm getting all these trails of foam coming down, and oh boy, it's really making a huge difference to the images. So I've taken a shot of the falls and that fall and the whole scene. So the only challenge you have with a wide angle lens and filters is you'll get a vignette. So what that means is you'll have a black ring around your lens and your image, and that's just because the lens is so wide and so open, it actually sees the filter that I've put on the end of the lens, which is unfortunate, but I can crop it out. I think what I will do though is, before I leave this area, there's tons to take here, so I will be here for a wee while yet. I will do a landscape panoramic just to make sure I've got everything in the frame, so that when I have to crop because of the vignette, I'm not cropping too much out. So I've now taken a different composition. I've focused in on these rocks and that log in front of me. I've got the bottom half of the falls in view. I've still got 8 seconds. I've still got 20th of a second. I've still got 8 seconds f20 and ISO 100. I've flipped it over to exposure compensation as well because I want some highlights for some of the rock. Because if I take a normal exposure, it's actually quite dark down here. And because I am getting the sky in some of my images, I don't want to overexpose the sky, even although it's difficult to the eye to see if there's any detail. I don't want to lose it, so it's just in case. This is an absolutely stunning location. I have to admit though, it's an absolute nightmare to try and get to. It is so difficult to reach. But right, so that's my shot finished. So what I'm trying to do here is get in the composition. I'll just adjust my polarizer because there's a lot of sheen on the water in front of me and I don't want that. So I'm going to focus in again on the centre of the image. I'm leaving my settings as they are because my settings are all geared towards getting that smooth trail of foam. So I've now set up my portrait shot. I'm focusing in straight over that log, right to that small set of falls. Oh wow, oh my goodness. Oh wow, that is amazing. Right, so I'm now going to get lower and I'm going to move over into the river. And I'll set that camera up so you can see what I'm doing. So I've set my camera up as a portrait and I'm taking a shot, but I'm using that boulder in front of me with the green moss on it as a kind of foreground interest. The only thing is, there's a branch here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move over to this side and I'm going to see if I can get a sweeping view and see how that looks. So actually I can get the top of the falls just in frame here. I'll just check my polarizer. There. I'm just double checking my focus just because I've moved location. I think I've got the... oh, I've moved the camera. Whoops. You know, the only thing... these wellies are brilliant and they're waterproof. But every pair of wellies I've had are absolutely lethal on rock when it's wet. Right, so let me take that again because I moved the camera when I slipped on that rock. So I'm going to do a quick small exposure compensation and then what I'll do is I'll zoom in to certain areas around while I'm here, because once I've finished taking photos here I'll switch back to the other lens, because what I've noticed, there's some nice pools of water on the rocks here at the base of the falls. Right, so I'm going to move over here and I'll see if I can get a couple of shots from this area. So taking a couple of close-up shots of the small falls and the swirls. But what I'm going to do is move, oh my foot's caught, move over a bit, and I'm going to see if I can get an image of the falls from this location. No idea how that'll look. Well, that's actually quite nice. And compose it in such a way that I've not got too much of the sky, but you've got that kind of feeling of curvature to the left hand side. So I'm just going to focus in on the rock. I've set 10-second exposure at f20 and ISO 50. So what I'll do is I'll just show you that image now because it'll take a wee while. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take one more shot of the small falls. There's a little waterfall behind there, so I'm hoping that I'll just get some spray coming down the background, and I might get some swirls in the foreground. And then after that, what I'm going to do is pack up my equipment and then climb up to the top of the first half of the falls and then see if there's any potential images. I'm not sure what I'm going to get, to be honest, but I'll climb up to the top because that's also the easiest path to get out here and to walk back to the van. There's one image. I'm going to do one more image because if I can get the camera down really, really low behind me in the water, there might be a low shot that I can get with those falls and the swirls. So I'll just try it before I go, because that's actually turned out to be a really nice image. So if I just level the camera off, I've got that tree beside me sticking out. I'm just going to focus in on the fern across the way, and then I'll take that shot and let's see how that turns out. Okay, so I'm back to the bridge. I hiked up the hill, up past the waterfall to find a track I knew to get to the road, but it was overgrown. But I managed to find it because I knew the landmarks, so that's the main thing. So I hope you enjoy this video. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do, you know it's free. And if you press the bell notification, that'll let you know the next time I post a video. So thank you, and here's to the next video.